Hi, my name's Chris from Digital Gurus. In this video, we're going to run through setting up your first campaign. To get started, click the New Campaign button at the top right. This screen is where you can select your campaign goal. Campaign goal is the overarching, most important thing for your campaign. If your business is focused on a specific geographical location, such as around a brick and mortar store, or if you have a specific area that your customers tend to be in, then local is probably the best option for you. If your customers tend to have particular characteristics, for example, they may be of a certain age, they may be parents or not parents, or they may have specific interests, then audience is probably the right option for you. If you're not sure, or if neither of these really seem to fit, you can select fame. Fame is the most simple and straightforward option where we simply try and reach as many people in as much of an area as possible. In this example, we're going to go through an audience campaign, but we will also show you the local options as well. Once you've selected your goal, simply click on the tile. The first thing we need to do is give our campaign a name. We recommend going for something descriptive, something which you will instantly recognize as to what the purpose of the campaign is. In this example, we will be setting up a campaign for the Ritz, focusing on dining in their restaurant. Here we can see the website. This is taken from the business onboarding. You can also add additional pages, for example, this one for the restaurant. In this section, we select which advertising channels we want to use for this campaign. You can select and deselect them by just clicking on the tiles. One thing to be aware of is that the minimum spends will be increased depending on the number of channels you select. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see some more information. This is the internal system campaign identifier. If you ever need to reference your campaign with us, this can be very helpful. The custom campaign identifier is good if you have some sort of external ID that you need to link to this campaign. For example, if you need to raise a budget request and that has an identifier number, you might want to keep track of that here, but it is purely optional. Once you've named your campaign, selected your landing pages and your advertising channels, simply click Next. If you didn't select local as your campaign goal, you will see this screen. This is where we can select where we want our ads to be shown. By default, your ads will be shown in the entirety of the UK. You can also narrow that down by clicking on this tab here. In this section, you can select different regions to show your ads in. You can either do it through the drop-down menu, or you can do it by toggling on the map here. In this example, we will be showing our ads in London and the surrounding areas. If you chose the local goal for your campaign, you will instead see this screen. This allows you to be more precise about the geographical areas that you wish to target. If I click here, I can add a location. For example, this is the location of the Ritz. If you have multiple locations, for example, you may have stores in different cities, then we recommend adding all of them. Where you supply us with a location, we will target in a reasonable radius around that area. You can also supply us with an area that you wish to target. For example, we can do cities. You can also do neighborhoods, counties, and postcodes as well. Please bear in mind that small targeting areas will significantly restrict how many people can see your ad, so we recommend going for the largest appropriate area. Once you've selected your areas, just click the Next button. This is where we decide who we want to show our ads to. There are two different ways of doing this. If you click Category Interest and then select Next, you'll be given a drop-down list of items to choose from. You can also search from them in here. For example, if we search hotel, we can see hotel and accommodations. In this example, we will be using a described audience. In this section, we will be defining who our target audience is for the campaign. Here you can see the AI has gone away, digested the website, and has come up with several suggestions. For example, if I click this, we can see affluent individuals, high net income, interested in dining, luxury travel, and cultural experiences. You can, of course, enter whatever you like in here, edit these and update them as you wish. Once you're happy with your description, simply click Generate Profile. So the AI has taken that description, gone away, and it has compared it against a list of possible audience segments, and it's picked out the ones that it feels are relevant. You can go through and check these. If you hover over the little blue eye, it will tell you exactly why it has chosen these segments, and you can remove any that you don't think are relevant. For example, in this case, event tickets is maybe not relevant. You can also add additional segments by clicking on Edit and selecting from the drop-down list. So in this case, perhaps we want frequently dines out at fine dining restaurants. Once you've selected any additional categories, just click confirm. And there we go. You can add up to 5 different targeting profiles. These will be used both in targeting your campaign, in the creative generation, and also in how we manage your campaign. Once you're happy with your audience profiles, click next. In this section, we can see some example search creatives. These have been generated by our AI. If you wish to edit them, you can click the toggle at the bottom, which will show you all of the fields. You can edit these. You can also remove any that you don't like. For example, maybe we don't want this one, and you can add more headlines as well. You can add up to 10 headlines and 8 descriptions. The headlines are shown at the top and the descriptions underneath. Once you're happy with your search creatives, simply click next. On this screen, we can see the social creatives. If you have not selected Facebook or Instagram as a channel, then you won't see in the screen. At the top, we can see the different creatives that the AI has generated. On the right here, you can see a preview of those, and you can switch between Facebook and Instagram previews as well. We can also edit our creatives in this section here. We can select which channels we want to use. In some cases, images or assets may not work on one channel or the other. We may want to have different focuses, in which case you can select those here. Down here, we can edit the text. We can do the headline, the description, and the call to action as well, which is a drop-down list. In some cases, you may want to edit the image itself. For example, on this one, the crop's okay, but maybe we want to change that, so we can hit crop image here. You will see some previews as to what it will look like on Facebook and on Instagram. So we can, for example, zoom that like this. You can also do rotations if that makes sense, and save. And let's say we only want that one on Instagram. There we go. These images have all been scraped from the website, but we can upload our own images as well, or we can choose them from a stock image library. To do so, simply scroll down to Change Image. On the Library tab, you'll find a library of stock images that we can use, like this. And if you click up here, Upload, we can select images that are on our computer. And there we go, that's the uploaded image. So I select that and click Use Selected. And there we go, we've uploaded our image. Now in this case, perhaps this one, the crop is not ideal for Instagram, so we can just fix that quite simply. Firstly, I'm going to disable Instagram as an option, and then I'm going to click the copy button. This will create a new copy of that creative. And here I'm going to select Instagram, deselect Facebook, and then edit the crop as we did before. And here we can simply change the crop. We can zoom it out a little bit and save. And there we go. Once you're happy with all of your creatives, simply click next. Promotions are a powerful marketing tool, and so we can add promotions to our campaign on this screen. Here we can see an example. If you have no promotions, that's fine. Simply click next. If you have promotions you wish to add, click the toggle, and we have this interface here. You can customize the formulation of the promotion by ticking and unticking these options here, and we can fill in any of the sections that we want to add. So in this case, let's say we have a 5% off fine dining with code RITZ5, and we're going to have that running from start of January until the end of February. Once you're happy, simply click Add Promotion. You can also edit your promotions. If you click the pencil, then it will load the information back up here. So for example, let's say we want to take out those dates, we can do that and then click Update Promotion. Once you're happy with your promotions, click the Next button. On this screen, we'll define our budget for the campaign. Campaigns can be bought either on a monthly subscription basis or in one upfront payment. You can switch between the modes using this selector at the top. Down here we can see some suggested budgets. By clicking on select, I can then customize this further. Minimum spends for the campaign are dependent on how many advertising channels are selected. Our minimum spend is £10 per day per channel. However, Facebook and Instagram are classed as one channel. Therefore, if you select Google and Facebook and Instagram, your minimum spend will be £20 per day. I can update the budget here. I can define it either as a total budget or as a daily budget. We strongly suggest you use a daily budget. Down here we can see the total value of this campaign, and we can also adjust our dates here. Once you've entered your campaign budget, click the next button. This screen shows a summary of your campaign setup. You can see more detail on each section. You can also preview your creatives again, both search and social, and you can also go back and edit any settings that you may want. For example, let's say that we don't want this one, click there, and then we can go back to the summary screen. Once you're happy with your campaign setup, click the tick box to confirm you accept our terms and services, and then click proceed to checkout. On this screen, we will pay for our campaign. If you have a promotion, click the button here and enter your promotion. Otherwise, enter your payment details here. In this example, I'm just using dummy card details. Once your details have been entered, click pay. And there we go. We've completed our first campaign. If you have any problems at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at help@digitalgurus.media. You can also view your invoice either by clicking on this button, or you can also find it in the billing section of the website. Click return to dashboard to go back to the dashboard. And here we can see our campaign. If you click on this line, you will see the details, and you can see that the campaign is currently processing. Once your order has been received, we'll start working on it immediately, and we'll be in touch as soon as everything is ready to go live. If you want further guidance on setting up your campaign, you can also consult our documentation by clicking on this button here. The documentation portal includes an entire article all about setting up your first campaign from start to finish. In this video, we've shown how to set up your first campaign. I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you have a great day.